Hiya folks, I've just sold this lawnmower, I'm going to deliver it in a minute, but I just want to attend to these little tears here, look. I'm going to sew these up, see you in a minute. Right, well this is a lawnmower I've really just sold on Facebook again. I'm going to deliver it for the woman, and I thought I'd just make the effort and just sew these little slits up here in the bag. It's only simple, so I might as well do that with you. And yeah, so I visited a car show the weekend in our local village. That's the one I wanted the trotter van to be at, but unfortunately it didn't make it there. And anyway, I bumped into one of my subscribers there who's I've actually met before. His name's John. If you're watching, John, you watched my last video and you actually brought me down a new set of gaskets and diaphragm for that lawnmower, which you saw in my previous video, where that Chinese copy diaphragm just literally curled up. And I've ordered some other replacement ones, although again they're not the official ones, but John brought me down an official gasket and diaphragm kit, and that means that we can actually get on and actually repair that lawnmower, the black Mountfield one, the SP470 I think it was. So we'll do that a little bit later on. And I also bumped into another subscriber there while I was walking around at the car show, and that's Mr. John Wynn and his lovely wife there. Here's a little picture of me and John. I didn't quite get the picture, John, of one with your wife in. I did send you a message on Facebook, and I would have put that up, but this is the only one I've got of me and you. And as you can see, John's a trotter van fan, and he was hoping to see the trotter van there, and so was I, John, as you probably well know. It was a nice show anyway, but hopefully next year we'll make it to the van there with the trotter van anyway. Just saying hello there, as I say, to John and his lovely wife there, and also the other John. Thanks very much for supplying me with that gasket and diaphragm, which we'll put to good use until the other ones come. Right, anyway, so I've just got some cotton here, as you can probably see on the corners. Let me show you. They've just got a couple of small little rips on them, one on each corner, so it doesn't affect the running of the thing, but you do get puffs of sort of dry grass cuttings or whatever, and it can be a bit of an irritant, so just tidy these up and we'll sew them. Okay, there we go. Only a little 5-minute job that, so that's now sorted. I'm happy with that. I'll just check the oil one more time while I'm here. I know I've already checked it, but as it's on the bench, I might as well just give it a recheck again. Yeah, that's fine, no problem there. Let's just check if we've got fuel in there. I don't want it to conk out as soon as she gets it. No, we've got a good half a tank in there, so that'll be alright. Right, so okay, let's just take it outside, give it one more try out, and then we'll put it in the car and get it ready for taking it down there for her. Nice little lawnmower there. I'm going to put that in the car now, so I'll see you in a minute. Well, before I actually put that in the car, I thought we'd bring this one back up. This is the one where we've used the cheap Chinese copy gaskets, and you saw what happened in my previous video when we tried to repair this with cheap gaskets. So I've got this new gasket now, which is the correct one, the proper one, not a pattern part. And that, as I say, that was given to me by John at the car show I went to the other day. So let's just, might as well fit it, ain't going to take long, might as well fit it. These are T25 bits anyway, those of you who've got one of these lawnmowers, these screws that normally go in here. I'll leave them there for the moment. And let's take the air filter off. I mean, seeing as it's just like a 5-minute job, I thought we might as well get this done now. and at least we can definitely make sure that the gasket was the problem and everything's running correctly. So now we've got a 3/8 and a 1/2 inch to undo. And as you know, the 3/8 is at the front here, or depending where you are, I mentioned this before, it could be a 10mm, which is the metric equivalent of a 3/8 bolt. So we'll just undo that one. And the one on this side of the carb is the 1/2 inch or 13mm. So let's just zip that out. These are the only two bolts, as you probably know, that you have to take out to remove the whole carb and fuel tank setup. And then literally just remove that little rubber hose there, that connector hose. And it's a little bit of jiggery pokery. You bring it forward, you haven't got to touch the springs. You literally just hold that little bent circular wire piece that goes onto the governor arm and literally tip the tank, and it should pull off like that. There we go. So all your springs are basically left on there, and you can then move your fuel tank away. And as you can see, once again, this has popped off, which is the little round O-ring and retaining clip that should go in the back of the carb there, and that is your sealing ring for your inlet manifold tube there, which is a plastic tube that just keeps it snug. And if you haven't got that washer in place, as I've mentioned before, you can get air sucking in, and that can make the lawnmower run fast and slow as well, which is a similar symptom as when you've got the gasket and diaphragm, which is needed. So let's take this over now and let's see if we can see this one. This is a pattern gasket we've got in here. Let's see if that curls up the way it did the other day, which you didn't see. Right, I think I've got you as near as I possibly can get you there. Let me just get a Phillips screwdriver, and as I say, we haven't touched this since the last time. So I'm just going to undo these 5 screws that hold the carb onto the fuel tank. And bearing in mind, this is a cheap pattern gasket which we've got in here. And this is the second one, because I put one in before that, and that's the one I showed you in a previous video that curled up all over the place. They shouldn't curl up at all. And the reason why people choose the pattern parts is because over here in the UK, these are quite expensive. I know they're a lot cheaper out in the US of A, for those of you who live in the USA and Canada, because you are actually dealing with your own brand. Briggs & Stratton was American, or is American. I think it's been taken over by Oregon, some of their spares now. But let's see if this one curls up like the other one did. Yeah, I can see it. Look, there it goes. Look at that. Look at that. Look, you've seen that for yourself. Look, that was one of the cheap pattern gaskets off of eBay, and these were on for buying 5 of these with 5 primer bulbs, and they come all the way from China. Look how that's curled up. Look, and that, I've never had that before with any of the other types of pattern gasket. All I can think is they've not actually used this, tried it out with petrol. This is only petrol in there, so it's no special fuel or anything. Even the gasket, to be honest with you, feels a bit stiff, not like a normal gasket, so I don't know what material this is. There we go. We've already cleaned this out in the previous video, as you know. And this is the pattern part which John gave me. Thanks very much for this, John. And as you can see there, Oregon, American, made in the USA, replaces Briggs & Stratton. There's the gasket number. So this is a diaphragm and gasket set, and there's the number if anybody's interested in looking for these. These are original product parts, and the quality is second to none with this, so we're going to put this one in now. Just put that to one side there and open this up. As I say, normally in the UK you pay a lot more money for genuine gaskets, so that's the attraction for people to try, at least try the pattern parts. And all we're going to do is to lay the gasket and diaphragm down in its correct orientation, like that. Get the carb back on. Can be a little bit fiddly this, but once it's there, the leading edges on the screws do help locate it. Right, so just nip them down. They're all tightened down by hand, burstly. Right, okay, that's it. So you've seen that with your own eyes now. Look how that curled up, that gasket there. Look, that's not right. Never seen them do that before, and I've had pattern ones before. Look at that, look, absolutely terrible. Right, so we can now put this back on just by hooking our little hooky wookie in our little hole, and then just threading it back on the tube. Not forgetting to put your little rubber boot on the vent tube from the engine casing to the carb, and then just locate it by pushing it nice and firmly on, and then replacing your 2 screws, but not doing them up. Just do them, wait till you've got them both in before you start tightening them up, because you tighten one up and you might not get the other one threaded in correctly and it could cross thread. So just make sure you wiggle them both in first and do them up. Right, so there's me 13mm or 1/2 inch first. Not zooping it right up yet. Just taking up the 10mm or 3/8 one. Now I will zip it up. 1 and 2. There we go. And as I've said on many occasions, make sure that your governor arm there is spinning freely like that, because that sometimes, that little loop going through that white plastic arm sometimes doesn't seat properly and that wedges in and that goes solid. So you must make sure that that is actually running freely. There's where your springs attach, one to there and one to the little loop there, as you can probably see, and that one to the front arm there, and that one to the little loop again. Now if your lawnmower tends to be running a little bit slow, what you can do on these type of Briggs & Strattons is just tease this one back a little bit, just bend it back a little bit, and that will just increase the revs just a tiny little bit, because sometimes they run a little bit slow. In fact, this one was running a little bit slow, so I'm glad I've actually done that. So we're going to leave that like that for the moment. Put the air filter back on. As you can see, nice clean air filter. Zip this on. Just relocate our cover. Now this screw at the front here, on these SP 470s or HP 470s, you'll normally find a big sticker over the top there with Briggs & Stratton written on it, and you can't actually see this screw. So you'll struggle to know where it is. If you just rub your hand over the sticker, you'll feel the little indentation, and some people just rip this off and it looks untidy. Just make a nice round cut and then just expose the screw there if you're ever doing this. Just makes it look a lot tidier. Or if someone else has broken it off there, just make a nice little round cut there and, you know, sort of make it look a bit better. Right, okay, so this is the bottom screw back in. And don't forget, we haven't refurbished this one yet, we just wanted to get it running properly. Right, so just nip that cover up, as we've just done there. Right, we should be back to square one now. We've got fuel in there, if I remember rightly. There's not a lot, but there's enough. We didn't actually drain this old fuel out, so let's take this outside and try this one. First time. Try it again. Happy days. There we go then. I think we can safely say there that we've proved the point that pattern parts can be a good thing, but for reliability and longevity, definitely the original maker's parts are the way to go. I have ordered a other set of pattern parts, but they are ones I've used before. But as I say, if you're dealing with these and you're going to be selling them, you know, you really want the thing to last at the end of the day. And probably, no doubt, a lot of people are using pattern parts, and they might put the pattern part in, just like we've done there, find out their lawnmower's still not running properly, and then want to sell it. So that could be your bonus for finding these old lawnmowers. They might have spent some money on it and they don't want to spend no more. But pattern parts, there is a place for them, but not always, especially with things like little gaskets and stuff like that. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe, and have a look at our other videos as well in our playlist. And do check out my other channel, which is Retro Hacks. I've got to get that up to 4,000 hours, I think, viewing for me to be able to monetize that channel, and I'm halfway at the moment. I've had about 1,600 hours or something like that. It was monetized before, but YouTube have changed their rules now, and it just means that I'm not gaining anything off of that channel. And it would be nice, because, as I say, we put a lot of time and effort into our YouTube channels, as you probably know, and it's the only way we can sort of at least keep bringing content on that channel. I've not uploaded for about 6 months, but I want to start doing that again. So if you haven't subscribed to it already, do check it out, and also watch a few of my videos if you don't mind, so I can get them hours up and re-monetize my videos again. Anyway, thanks very much. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one, and until then, bye for now.